In this case, we're going to talk about doubled pawns. Now, doubled pawns occur when two pawns are in the same column. When two pawns are in the same column, this presents a challenge for white, who is able to protect these two pawns and at the same time help them advance safely to the last square where they're able to promote. For black, it's a little bit easier for him, as two pawns are simply on the same column, thus he's better able to take these two pawns for himself and prevent this game from going to checkmate against him. Now, if black were to move in this case, or simply in this case, let's start with white. If we begin with white, some people's most intuitive motion is to actually move right here. Because if they move right here or right here, they're able to protect these two pawns right here. Now, but black has one counter movement. Black's best counter movement is to move down here. Because when he moves down here, he prevents white king from moving up. Now, white only has very limited amount of option. If he moves here, he loses both of his pawns. Because when black moves down here, black can now take the other pawn for himself without being denied from the white king. So let's reverse that. So we're in this position, what if we move down here? If we move down here, we lose one of our pawn. Now he still may be able to win, but simply losing a pawn gives him less advantage. So we don't want to lose our advantage. We want to have the most amount of advantage throughout this whole game. So let's reverse this whole game. Now let's begin from the fact that maybe let's say white moved to the side. If white moved to the side, this may be seen counterintuitive. You're not protecting both pawns. But actually you're giving the decision to black king to move down. When black moves down, you can then move up. Because actually when you move up, you limit his options. He cannot move down here, nor can he move down here, nor can he capture this pawn, as both pawns are actually protected by this king. Therefore, black has to play the most unfavorable motion for him, which is simply to move up. Now when black moves up right here, white can take advantage of this and simply move his own king up, thus able to protect this one key square for this pawn to move upwards towards promotion. Now black might have a tactical advantage. He may try to block this king, because when he moves right here, he blocks the king from moving to any of these three squares, and by blocking the white king in this case, the white king is unable to advance and protect further squares for his pawn. Therefore, white's best option is to simply move his pawn up. When white moves his pawn up, black may again try to attempt to block the pawn, and may move right in front of the pawn. Now for white, if he moves here, he loses control of this pawn, and soon enough this pawn. Therefore, we shouldn't do that. White should actually move behind his own pawn. Because actually when white moves behind his own pawn, these two squares are blocked by the king, these two squares are blocked by the pawn, and the pawn is protected by the king. Therefore, black's only option is to move back. Now, if he moves back, we can move right here. If we move right here, he might try to go in the same parallel column as the white, to block white from advancing and protecting future squares for his pawn to go to promotion. Therefore, white's best option is to move his pawn up. Now, if white moves his pawn up right here, black might try again to block it. And we can simply play the same game and move right behind our own pawn, and force him to move up, as these two squares right here are blocked by white, and by his pawn. Therefore, if black moves up, we can try moving right here. Either squares are equally valuable for white. Now, maybe black might try to counter him, and say, well, I'm going to block you from advancing. Therefore, white should move his pawn up. Now, if white moves his pawn right here, black may try to stall and try to block this pawn. Some players' intuition might be simply to move our king behind our pawn, since we've done that in previous motions. But in this case, this proves to be devastating for white, as this causes a stalemate. These two spots blocked by our king, these two spots are blocked by our pawn, which is protected by our king. Black has no more move in this game and ends the stalemate. So let's reverse that. We're now in this position. Some of you ask me, what should I do right now? Well, white should actually move his pawn up. Because when white moves his pawn up, black king has now a very limited amount of option to work for where to move. If he moves here or here, he's going to be checked by this pawn. If he moves here, that's illegal. Our white king is protecting this spot. Therefore, black's only option is to move here. Now, if he moves here, our king can move up, and let's protect this future square right here. Now, at this point, black has only one motion, to move down here. Some people might try to promote his pawn right here, but if he promotes his pawn right here at this moment, this whole column is blocked. These two spots are blocked by a combination of the queen and the pawn. Therefore, the black king is again in stalemate, and we lost our advantage again as a white player. Therefore, we should actually move back. What should we do in this case? We should actually move our pawn up and check him. Black may take this pawn, but our great advantage is this. We can move our pawn up to promotion, and we can checkmate this black king in a few steps as long as we play carefully and do not stalemate or cause a draw. Happy checkmating. Hello, This time, however, let's start from the very beginning. Now if black were to play, black's first motion is try to come down here. Because if he moves down here, he's able to potentially take this pawn and thus remove one advantage for white. Now for white, his best motion is to simply move here. But since we moved here last time, let's just try moving here to show you how equally valuable these two positions are. If he moves here, he protects both of his pawn. Black cannot move down here for fear of being checked by this pawn, nor can he move here, nor can he move here or here, as those two spots are protected by this pawn. Therefore, black has to move up. Now, white can move up right here and protect this square for his pawn to move up and promote. Black might again try to counteract this by simply moving from this king to prevent it from moving forward and protecting future squares for his pawn to promote. Therefore, white's best option is to simply move his pawn right in front. Now black may simply move back, because when black moves back right here, he blocks this pawn, and white still cannot move up and protect future square for this pawn to promote. Therefore, white's best option is to move behind his pawn,